Y'all know that I've worked really hard to talk about Love Island as little as possible. And when I do talk about Love Island, I do my best to center Nicolandria, who I very much support and am proud of. Even Shelley, who I have lots of sympathy for, because we all have at one point in our lives had an allegiance to losers and egomaniacs. But today I'm going to finally, and this is probably the first time I'm doing this since I cussed him out with Jesse. Today I'm going to finally center Ace, because what the fuck? I never saw myself doing a live talking about Ace Greene because I have no real interest in Ace Greene. And though I've always said that this platform uses pop culture and politics as an entree point into bigger topics about human nature and personal growth. Ace did something recently that was so loud with lessons, not blessings, lessons. That I was like, I'm gonna take one for the team and talk about this. I almost said little man. Talk about this young man, because what he did and what he is currently doing, and the chokehold that his ego has him in, is one that is incredibly common and one that I think we could all learn from. So for those who are like, I thought you said you were going to talk about Love Island. I'm not talking about Love Island. I'm talking about Ace's ego and how it continues to undermine him. Again, if you have not kept in touch with any of this, honestly, I wish I hadn't, but my timeline just insists on making this little man show up on my page. And by little, I don't mean his size. I mean his emotional intelligence is quite. I'm going to talk about Ace Greene's recent interview with himself. For those who like interview with himself, apparently the interview with Speedy didn't go well. And because Ace is allergic to accountability, anybody who didn't want to be accountable be like, hey, I made a mistake going on the interview with Speedy. Ace is thinking, well, Speedy must be the problem. How about I just go on an interview with myself? And how about I rent out a dark garage and sit under a limelight, since I couldn't get any on the show, and pretend I'm doing a true crime documentary about how the internet ethered me and how you guys are wrong for getting me wrong, because it couldn't be my fault. Ace, you're never beating the allegations that this is how you continue to move. You're never beating We all know that there's a genre of TikTok where people who are trying to sell MLM scams and who are just scammers in general. Shout out to Dana Chanel from the Philadelphia area. I heard you were indicted. I wonder how that case went. But many a scammer on the internet has used the ploy of staring at a wall but pretending they're talking to somebody while saying shit that they think is deep. That entire genre. Every time I see those videos, I have to fight the urge to be like, so who you talking to though? What's their name? Tag them. Tag the person you were talking to in this clip. I want to see something. Y'all really putting mics in front of your mouths and staring at a window and pretending to be talking to an interviewer, even though you ain't got no... Anyways, guys, let's level set real quick and see what Ace Greene did, because it's cringe, and though there is a lesson in this, which is the only reason I'm covering it.
Okay, so I just finished Ace's 37-minute, I don't know whether to call it, self-interview.
It was 37 minutes. Somebody said, Gia said, when is Ace going to get his mega church? I think the Ace mob might be his mega church. Somebody said the Leos keep getting hit. Yeah, thanks to Ace, y'all are never beating the allegations. Thanks to Ace, y'all have a deep, deep climb up from these allegations, because this is everything they say about Leo set on fire and eating steroids. This is like Leo to the 10th degree. Shelley, you're a Virgo. I can just imagine the hell you went through.
Documentary, video, bibliography, but I watched it all so that you don't have to, and I'll tell you the things to take away. Because I was listening to find out if he's going to address him and Shelley's relationship and the status of their relationship after her page 6 interview, I can confirm that there's probably 2 minutes of the 37 minutes where he talks about the relationship.
The fact that you did a 37-minute video and you said let's say 3 minutes. Let's give him an extra minute. 3 minutes out of 37, which means the other 34, 35 minutes are you talking about yourself the entire time, but I was your first girlfriend. If that don't tell you his motivation and how he acted during the relationship, I don't know what does.
And just to get this out of the way, basically what he says is that he learned things from his relationship with Shelley. He had to learn how to communicate his feelings. He had to learn how to express those feelings without being on 10 automatically.
These are things that we teach children. So is this Ace admitting that he's a man-child? I'm being so serious. When I had my first EQ gig at the Harvard School of Public Health, oh, I just realized I'm drinking out of my Harvard cup today. But when I had my first gig working with them, we were working on a curriculum for children in the ages of K through 8. That means the things that Ace is listing that he does not know how to do, we were creating curriculums to teach them to kindergarteners. I'm just giving you some context about how low this man's emotional intelligence is, even though he keeps trying to brand himself as a man who is much more mature than his 23 years. No, you act your age, and that is not a compliment.
He learned what his love languages were versus what he had thought that they were in their relationship. And he learned that you don't actually know who someone is until you're their partner and constantly around each other. Other than that, he just talks about how all the outside pressure and scrutiny of the relationship and constant judgment online added to the issues and anxiety that they had. Aside from that, it's snippets of him working on projects. He had a project he was doing with Lil Yachty featured at one point, him working on his logo for Ace Mob, talking with a team of what direction he plans on going for, writing down his goals on a whiteboard and fulfilling them, interview from his siblings and close friends who describe Ace as always being an entertainer, and people criticizing him being nothing new to him, but simultaneously people online don't know him the way that they do. Videos of him in his childhood. This one was actually really, really cute, of him on the top talking about how he's destined to do whatever great things God has for him, because he's like 6. The video was basically like a self-promotion of, why criticize me and comment your opinions online when I've done more than you have at 22 years old?
Oh shit, I forgot. Little Yachty came out as being anti-Nicolandria, and Ace was working on a project with Little. I'm gonna let this one play because I'm gonna interrupt it too much and I have a time constraint. But Ace, like, it embarrasses me that you have no idea how transparent you are. It really embarrasses me for you.
And to be honest, that's a very fair point. There was also a lot of segments about the importance of him giving back to his community, what he's done so far community work-wise, and without outreach in the community to give back. I have a conscience, so watching this, I fully acknowledge how detrimental to your mental health 5 million, 10 million people weighing in with their opinions would be. So I don't want to say anything negative, but what I would say is, if you're going into this looking for him to talk about Shelley extended, there's about 2 minutes of that.
I'm not even gonna lie to you, I hate people like Ace. He wanna seem so insightful so bad, and it's actually cringe at this point. I used to be an Ace rider, Ace defender, but like everything he does is performative. It's like, it's trying to come off as like, oh, I'm that insightful person, I'm deep. Like, look at this, like,
people who try really hard to be deep are some of the most shallow people that you will ever meet. There's a deep irony in that will never stop tickling me.
you are dragging it. Do the damn interview. And for him to do this interview and only mention like a few minutes of Shelley and not even address what.
Y'all, look at the picture in the background. He's a very attractive man. Again, I'm not a hater, but look, he's in a dark garage with moody spotlight on him, just smizing into the camera as if Tyra is about to offer him the last slot in the finale. Like, I miss when you were just dancing to Kendrick Lamar with old ladies and Pakistani people and being wholesome. I miss that, Ace. I was the fact that I was a fan of Ace for a full year before he ever appeared on Love Island, and he talked me out of his fandom, shows me there's a tide that's happened where being on the show probably hurt him more than it helped him, and that's probably fucking with him.
We all want to hear. Ace, don't even waste our time. You want to seem so insightful so bad, and it's like, Ace, you went on Love Island. I need you to calm down. You know you about the fame, you know you about the clout. Make it seem like, oh yeah, like I'm deeper than what it is. I want to express myself. He is so dramatic, and it's all a performance. I'm very sad to say this because I'm
gonna say this right now. Not every angry little man is Kendrick Lamar. Can we wrap this up by noon today? Not every angry, height challenged man in the world who can string together a sentence is fucking Kendrick Lamar. Enough. Like, I hate y'all. I hate that so many people are tapping into their inner Kendrick and there's nothing but Drake inside of them.
like I said, was an ace writer.
Hey, did you guys see Ace's true crime documentary? Because I did. He said it was going to be an interview, but it was more like a true crime documentary that you do when there's a victim involved. He had sibling interviews.
He said, yo, she's eating him up so casually with such a smile while wearing a soft terry cloth hoodie. Ma'am, she said he shot it like a true crime documentary, you know, like where there's a victim involved, because Ace killed his own branding. Babe, yo, the girls are eating today. I'm not even gonna hold you. There's something in the air in 2026. Everybody's getting real clever right now, and I like it. I clock it. I like the cleverness.
He had friend interviews. They had cute clips of him as like a child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm describing a true crime documentary.
You are.
I do have some nice things to say. Because I do have some criticism, so I really want to make sure that I say some nice things.
Okay. Babe, hello? Oh, shit.
He was a really cute little kid.
Well,
I will say. He was a really adorable child. All right, I'm going to get back to the shit talking.
Ace ruined his own career due to pure jealousy. He was the Effie of the group. He wanted to be Diana Ross. We were ready to make them famous. We remember Core 4, but due to pure jealousy and the hatred he felt because he wasn't top guy, that's what he did. Okay, so as a lot of other people, I watched Little Man's interview, okay? And, you know, he said a lot of key points that kind of stood out to me. Mm-hmm. And the first few things that I want to...
Okay, so this one, you guys, you know, there's some clips that I'll get a general sense of the person's page. They seem reasonable, and I'll make sure that I only watch the first sentence, but I intentionally don't watch the rest so that I can experience this with you. This is one of those videos, so I hope she don't say nothing crazy. She does, I'll fast forward, but I haven't seen this one yet.
Say that he said was he liked the idea of being with Shelley, but the reality of being with Shelley didn't hit his expectations. The reality of being with Shelley did not hit his expectations.
Now, hold on. This is starting to feel too much like when Desmond said I asked for a separation in 2025, even though that was only a week earlier. Say what now? You only talked about her for 2 minutes out of 40. Let me just hit play.
And now why that sticks out to me so much is that when, and I hate to do this, like I hate.
By the way, everybody who called me a hating ass bitch back in June when I said that Ace was giving me red pill, run me my apologies.
I hate to do this, but I'm sorry, but I have to do this. So when they got out of the villa, right, you can tell in the few interviews that he did do, things were not going the way that Ace planned on things to go. I feel like he already had a plan in the villa, as we all kind of seen the way that he was moving, how strategic he was being, and the way he chose Amaya, knowing he wanted Shelley. He did that to be strategic, to like get his prize at the end, who he knew he was going to end up with.
Ooh, I like this. I like this because I was always confused by why he chose Amaya. I think a lot of us were. She's saying that he essentially was trying to pull a Cordell. When Cordell went to that other girl because he was feeling iffy about his connection with Serena, and then her getting upset at him made them get back together and created that iconic scene when she revealed how much she cared about him, how much she liked him, and her breaking down her wall and showing how hurt she was is what made him realize that he needed to fight for her. I think Ace picked Amaya in order to recreate that scene, but instead Shelley just moved on. Ace, if you're going to do a production, why don't you send your girl the script first? Because she didn't react the way she didn't pull the Serena. That makes sense. I like this hypothesis. That makes so much sense. He was producing the show so much from the inside. That's the only argument I've ever heard about why he picked Amaya that actually makes sense. Interesting.
So it could be like this famous like love story, and they can eat off that shit. And that was his plan, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And then when he got out the villa, like he said in the last interview, like, oh man, like when I got out the villa, like I'm getting hit with all this Nicolandria, what's up with them? What are they doing? Are they this? Are they that? And that shit threw him for a loop, because that was the last couple he was expecting, because they were the last couple to get together.
In that video of mine that hit the YouTube top 100, thank y'all. I said that when you are perfectly fine being a supporting character because you're rooting for your friends, and then you find out the audience is actually clapping for you instead, there's an inherent guilt that you can't help feeling where you want to make sure that your friends know that you love them. And to be so willing to highlight your friends, even if the audience isn't highlighting them, and to have one of them turn on you, to me, there's a betrayal in that I don't personally think Nicolandria will ever, like, that taste will always be in her mouth. That taste will always be in her mouth, that I thought I was a sidekick. When I realized I was the main character, I still wanted to make sure that people knew that I thought you were the shit, and you still came from my neck. She's never going to forget that. And why should she?
And they were also very, very, very shocked that they got sent home as well. And that's the thing. His expectations, these expectations that y'all are hearing, he was expecting to have way more opportunities, way more love, way more clout, way more money, way more everything than what he and Shelley experienced as a couple coming out of the villa. Yep. Now, see, Ace, before he went into the villa, he already had some clout. He already had some motion, doing TikToks, doing all the shit that he was already doing.
Yeah.
And when he got out, he kind of fell back into doing all the same shit that he was already doing. He had a few opportunities, but he was doing the same shit he was already doing. So it's like, okay, mind you, this is a man that's never had a girlfriend before, never actually taken anybody serious. Basically.
By the way, the whole never had a girlfriend thing, you're talking about, oh, he's 23, has he never had a girlfriend? I've met 40-year-olds who never had a girlfriend. I've met 50-year-olds who never had a girlfriend. Like, it's becoming more common for people to make it to middle age and having never been in a relationship. I think we need to do a live on that one of these days. It's become so common for folks to hit big ages and never, and I do believe some of it could be trauma, but a lot of it is the current ecosystem we're in. We're in an ecosystem that commodifies separation and division and the assumption of lack. And that's always been the basis of capitalism, but because of social media and now AI, it has reached a rampant pitch that is, I think, unnatural for human beings. I think the world 50 years from now, unless something drastically changes, going your entire life and dropping dead, never being in a relationship, is going to be a new norm. And that makes me really sad.
Wasting everybody's time. He's been in situationships and wasting everybody's time, basically. Yeah. Like, until he finally made somebody his girlfriend from the pressure of the world type shit. And that's the thing. Like, I came out, I'm doing the same shit that I was already doing. I'm not benefiting from being in a relationship. This is not going the way that I planned for it to go. And now it's like, I'm with this girl every single day. And like, I'm starting to get irritated because, yes, I like her, but this is not what I expected to happen.
You see what she's saying? She's saying that he liked Shelley, but he liked her more when he thought that she was part of a come-up scheme. And Shelley as herself wasn't enough. I believe that. I believe Ace is disappointed that Shelley and him could not recreate Cordell and Serena, and I've been saying that for months now.
How shit was supposed to go in his mind. Like, it's just not. And on top of that, like, he kind of tarnished his own image by being a hater on other people. I don't know what the fuck Ace's problem was, bro. Like, yes, there was people that didn't like him already, but the way that
Somebody said, yeah, I want to read this comment. Nicolandria was the mother of the villa, and there she could be vindictive and did the Ace and choose not to be. Yeah, she could have been. You know what's so funny about you saying Nicolandria was the mother of the villa? We talked about Simone and her son on a recent live about that scene where she was screaming because he was taking from her to the point where he spent upwards of $60K on her credit card and she couldn't retire because of him. And what that underscored to me is Ace saw Nicolandria the way Mike, is that his name, Michael, saw his mother Simone. When you are a young man who's thinking like a boy and you see a divine feminine moving like a mother, your reaction, unless you are evolved, is to just take. It never occurs to you that you're taking to her detriment. You only see her as a resource. So many people have called me maternal and said that I'm who they reach for in a storm. But then I always think to myself, can I reach for you back when it's my turn to be in a storm? I don't want to be your mother. I have friends currently who are learning the hard way. Stop acting me to move like the mother who didn't raise you. Stop asking me to move like the mother who didn't have your back and didn't support you. I'm not your fucking mother. I will be your friend. I will be your girlfriend. I will be your business partner. But the minute someone makes me into their mother and we're both two fucking grown adults, I will intentionally pull away because I didn't fucking sign up for that. And don't think it's lost on me that me being an overweight Black woman of a certain age and hue, I'm going to keep bringing this up because I need y'all to know that I'm in on the joke, but you're the punchline. because I'm in on the joke, right? The way y'all reach for Black women, especially, the way y'all reach for, you mammify us. And I fucking refuse to be a mammy. That's why I tell you all the time when I get my back cracked, because I need you to understand, mammies don't get their back cracked. Y'all act like this Madonna whore thing. Well, if the Madonna is doing all the work like a laborer, then call me a whore. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not doing it.
He like dug his own fucking grave in that interview, and this is not even solely just because people love Nicolandria. This is because, nigga, you threw salt on your friends. Like, that's just like, no, like, nobody's gonna ever support that. Like, nobody wants that. Like, it wasn't cool, it wasn't cute. You don't get brownie points for that shit. Like, it went the opposite way for him. Fame went the opposite way for Ace, and now y'all are getting.
Oh, that's the bar. What did I say earlier? Fame went the opposite way for Ace. I adored this young man before the show. Now he makes my stomach cringe. He makes my booty itch. I fart a little bit every time I see him. I'm surprised I haven't farted during this live. My gastro, like all right here, my tummy don't like the man. Not because I think he's a bad person, but because he's a bad look.
Hate comments like you helped tarnish Shelley's image. She helped herself as well, but you helped do that to her. So now y'all are just this couple that loves each other in private, but y'all are getting hella hate, hella this for being together and all the shit by shit that you did from the very fucking beginning, from being in the village.
Someone said, I don't think Ace realized how much grace viewers gave him during the season. Well, here's the thing. Egomaniacs, if you don't adore them, they think you're the enemy. God forbid that you just have a little bit of nuance and know how to unpack things and see things in layers. If you're not obsessed with them, you're an op. So the fact that we critiqued him but still were rooting for him, his brain couldn't process that. If it's not pure adoration, if we're not completely relinquishing control to the church of Ace Mob, then we immediately ops, even though, again, I'm on the record for half the summer rooting for Ace to get out of his own way. It's unfortunate. I think Ace is Ace's biggest op. That's the irony of all this. The op is within, brother. The op is within. The call is coming from inside the house.
Being out the villa, like, you did all this. You made your plate.
Mm-hmm.
You made your plate, you made your bed, you made whatever. Nigga, you did this shit from the very beginning, thinking that you just was a man with a plan. Just like how he keeps orchestrating all this, like, this production of shit that he's doing, like he's just bigger than the program. Like, in his mind, he thinks that he is, and that's the problem. Yeah. That is Ace's fucking problem. Like, he thought it was something more than what it was ever gonna be. And it could have been, but you ruined that for yourself. So I really don't know. Kind of feel a little bad for the girl, honestly, but who knows? Like, who knows what
She went from calling him a little man to a girl. Jesus, Webb, sis, take your foot off his neck. My God, today. Whew.
What went on with them in between their household? Like I said, I don't know. But from my brain and what I thought when he said this is what I got out of it. And this is why everybody was saying that in the beginning. Like, he expected to be the couple, Shelley. Like, he thought that was going to be $1 million household name, and it wasn't. He's like, I might as well go back to doing TikToks. Like, I might as well do what I was already doing single, like, because I'm not getting shit out of this.
I just cannot get over the fact that Shelley could have been as big as Nicolandria if she wasn't with Ace.
As a very pro-Black person, as someone with Haitian heritage, the thought that our girl Shelley and Nicolandria could have been the dynamic duo, and her allegiance to losers, and to quote the Cat Williams, we've all fumbled a blessing attaching ourselves to the wrong person, whether it's a family member, somebody, for you, some of y'all, it's your mama's, whether it's a romantic partner, whether it's a bad friend group. Most of us, if not all of us in here, know what it's like when you can trace back the moment where your allegiance to the wrong person completely sabotage opportunities elsewhere. And I do sincerely feel bad for Shelley about this, even though I do think that she was a co-conspirator in some ways. I do sincerely feel bad for her.
My girl missed the bag. She flipped the bag so bad, like.
And here's the thing that's so interesting. Someone said to social media, they were like, oh man, Nicolandria don't want Nick. She's supposed to be with the millionaire doctor. A woman like Nicolandria is supposed to be with the millionaire doctor. And Nick responded and said, oh man, poor Nicolandria. Instead, she got stuck with the millionaire nurse. For those who don't know, Nick is a nurse. Poor Nicolandria. She was supposed to have a millionaire doctor, but instead she got stuck with a millionaire nurse. Nick has been a millionaire for a couple months now. He just confirmed it. Yes, he ate that. Because here's the thing. When Nick thought Olandria was a pariah that nobody wanted, he still had her back. And that's why we stand, right? When Ace realized Shelley couldn't be a cash cow, he couldn't be bothered. In that difference lies every opinion I've ever had about Love Island and how I feel vindicated right now. That emotional intelligence and the disparity between those who have it and those who don't, when they're in masculine bodies trying to love on dark-skinned Black women in a world that is built to demean them and diminish them, that difference is why I've said everything that I've said for the last 7 months. I don't want to say I told you so, but I feel like I spent this whole live saying I told you so why not say it again?
She really could have been that girl.
She really could have.
Had she made better decisions in the villa.
If you are a TikTok therapist or a TikTok psychiatrist, just somebody who understands people, please do me the favor and figure out what's wrong with Ace from Love Island, please. Like, give me some synopsis on why he's so insufferable.
Delusions of grandeur, intimacy issues, a horrible internal dialogue, an inability to admit when he is wrong. Some could even argue narcissistic collapse, but I'm not going to diagnose him. There's a whole list. It's a whole list of what's happening here.
You would think like the Dark Garage tell-all interview was the last straw. Like, that was over the edge of cringe, insufferable, main character syndrome to beyond levels. But the worst part was the merch. This man is selling $400 hoodies. $400 merch for Ace Greene from Love Island.
I just found this out today and I am gobsmacked. I am gobsmacked. Ace, you're selling merch and you're selling it at a premium as if you are at a stadium tour. Those are the prices that big names that only need one name have as merch at their stadium tours when people fly in from different countries to see them. You are a polarizing character from a derivative franchise that's all over the globe, that's not even the most popular one across the globe, and you are seen as the antagonist to the most popular Black woman to ever be in the franchise internationally, and you think that we're buying $400 hoodies from you. For the person who said, I think Ace's team is just Ace, I'm inclined to think so, because there's no way in hell that anybody who professionally does this would have told you to do that.
Mind you, Beyonce does not even sell $400 hoodies. Beyonce. People like Beyonce. People care about Beyonce. Beyonce is important to society. Don't get me wrong, I have main character syndrome, like, I'm obnoxious sometimes, but I've never seen a level like him. Like, it's almost like narcissism, and I need somebody to tell me, like, what's actually wrong with him, because I just can't figure it out, but there's a lot.
I feel sorry for Ace, although probably not in the way that he was anticipating.
Oh, this one I did see, because I was like, girl, what are you talking about? When did I put this in here? This one I actually picked because these last two, because I have to pivot to the next one because, I have a time constraint, and I want to make sure that we spend a good amount of time about our last topic. But these last few videos are the very amazing teachable lessons. And in fact, honestly, I'm going to do something I rarely do. I'm going to try to watch this as long as possible without interrupting, because there is a lot that we can learn from Ace. Because a lot of you, even though we're clowning him and we find him cringe, a lot of you, when you are embarrassed and think you're wrong, the Ace that lives inside of you peeps his head out. And that's the part of you that I want you to confront. Okay? Oh, and shout out to all the new members. You guys, we are, I don't want to announce it, we're very, 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 very close to reaching our 1,000-member goal. So if you were not a member, I would humbly ask you to consider becoming one, because I want to throw a members party alive for the members when we hit 1,000, because there's story times I've been waiting to share with y'all when we reach 1,000 members, and we're this close. We're so close. So thank you, Peace and Calm, for bringing us that much closer.
I'll be honest. Ace spoke a lot. He had his family speak a lot. He shared a lot of clips from times throughout his life. But despite this information overload, I just don't really feel like he said anything. Video was didactic, and I will say much less about Ace truly and his experiences, and a little bit more about what he wants the viewers to start to think of him as well as trying to pose some sort of moral lesson about how viewers interact with famous people or newly famed people, influencers, etc. He brings up a lot of questions that people have had about him on the internet, from his choice in calling himself Ace instead of his birth name, which is Alan, his choice of tattooing that name on his.
Those are saying, is the store still open after the 14th? No, I just need to change the ticker. Let me take it off while she's talking. The store will not be open until the spring because our shop is currently being built and we have to move into it first before we open back up.
Back, his relationship with Shelley, who we now believe he's broken up with, but haven't had any sort of clear confirmation from him. The choices that he made in his interview with Speedy, where he kind of threw Nicolandria under the bus or lied on them, whichever one is worse. And to be honest, regarding to any questions or points that were brought up, Ace didn't actually answer the question. Instead, he sort of posed these situations as learning lessons. So we're here.
Imagine you, I had to interrupt this part. Imagine you are talking to someone and asking them direct questions that will either clarify that they were misunderstood or reveal that they need to take accountability. And rather than simply answer the question so that a courageous interaction steeped in integrity can finally take place, they decide to pretend to be hood Socrates and pontificate about the lessons that they've decided that they've learned, positioning themselves as a scholar rather than a fallible man who needs to take accountability. Shelley, you might need some compensation. I'm starting to get a feeling of what you must have went through being in a relationship with him for those 27 minutes that y'all were in a relationship after throwing shade on a couple that's still going. But it sounds like you probably worked really hard to keep a straight face with him.
Hearing Ace's reflections from the situation rather than any sort of matter-of-fact information. And honestly, I think this is because Ace wanted to garner some sympathy, both for who he is as a person, his position, as well as some of his mistakes. And you know what? It worked on me. But it worked because I saw completely through it. Rather than take away the message that Ace was trying to convey or question the ways that myself and other viewers have maybe criticized him, instead, I think I saw Ace for who he really is, which is a 23-year-old young man that is very confused about who he is.
That part.
Ace is afraid to take ownership for things that he did because he does not know how to manage being himself while also being wrong. He deeply struggles with vulnerability and is extremely detached from his emotions, rather wanting to point the finger at other people for their behavior.
Yes, I took the story time about me and Icky has been taken down. When we hit 1,000, I'm going to put that back up, but it's going to be in the members only area. So thank you for bringing it up.
In how he made them feel, but without really naming what feeling that he has, you know?
Yeah.
And worst of all, it was so clear to me that Ace does not know who he is without his accomplishments, and perhaps doesn't quite yet have a set identity without those things.
Some of y'all caught astray. Y'all thought we were coming in here to drag Ace, but we don't do that. You can do that other places. That's a cheap thing that we do here, and it's really expensive in these parts, right? A lot of y'all thought you were going to just hear Ace get dragged for the next 30 minutes. She's saying part of the issue with Ace is he does not know how to separate him, the person, from him, the accomplishments. And that's why he's constantly puffing out his chest and reminding us of his accomplishments, because him as a man, a boy learning to be a man, still hasn't figured out what that even looks like yet. He is nothing without the accomplishments. Whoever I am now, I was here a year ago. I was here 2 years ago. I was here 4 years ago, 5 years ago. In different moments of those times, I was laid off from one of my gigs that I really adored, that everybody attached to my identity. When I stopped working in the news, because I was a whistleblower, because I don't like fuck shit. When I stopped working in the news, I sent out an email blast to every celebrity, every journalist, every connection I had saying, hey, this thing has happened, but don't worry. I know, y'all gonna have my back. If you hear about any opportunities, please let me know. I either got crickets or people sending me a thumbs up. Not a single person helped me. A-list celebrities that y'all love who used to call me to write pieces, to defend them, to turn the tide of public sentiment in their favor. When I lost my press gig and could no longer be of service, never spoke to me again. And guess what? Never once did I think that I was less deserving. I knew how to be me without the press pass. I knew how to be me without the accomplishments. I know how to be me in a room when nobody's ever heard of me, has no idea what I've done. In that 2016 TikTok trend where everybody's posting what they did in 2016, I started to post something and was like, if I post what my 2016 was like, it's going to feel like one long name drop. In 2016, I was riding around in the motorcade with Michelle Obama. In 2016, I was at the White House with people from NASA and Kevin Costner and the cast of Hidden Figures going to a special screening. In 2016, I was in the press room so much that the Secret Service started letting me take selfies. And literally, one time, me and my friends at Christmas were acting up so much, Barack Obama told security to tell Blue and them to keep it down. My 2016 was fucking lit, right? And when all of that went away, I was still her, right? I've lost it as many times as I've gained it. And even in the in-between, I've never stopped being who I was. Ace, at his young age, understandably does not know that quite yet, and that is actually age appropriate. So I'm going to cut him some slack. There's some of you in here who are old enough to be his mamas and his daddies, and y'all still have that as your narrative. Some of you in here, if you lost your job or you lost that thing that everybody knows you as. How did we start this live? We started this live with me saying that my candle shop was thriving, was flourishing in a way that is obscene, and I shut it down for my peace and to recalibrate. The reason why I'm not scared to shut shit down, even when I'm at the apex of success, is because I know if I lose it, I know how to build it again. That's not about Ace. That's about y'all. That's why we're doing this live today. I'm going to let her finish.
And this is what made me feel sympathy for Ace.
Yeah.
Ace clearly is his own worst critic. Yeah. All of the things that we could possibly say about him are not any worse than the expectations that he places on himself. And that is because he feels he has to do things to have worth in his life and be an important person. And this is because somewhere at some point in Ace's life, he felt like he wasn't enough. And so he has to create this image that proves that he is, no matter what. And seeing that was so sad.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have to feel sorry for him because I know what that feels like. A lot of us become overachievers, not because we really want to do all these things all the time, or we want to constantly work hard and criticize ourselves and provide for other people, but because we feel that we have to. And if we don't have those roles, if we don't have those successes, we don't even know who we are because we detached from the need to actually truly please ourselves and connect with our emotions a long time ago.
So Ace miscalculated something.
This is the last one, and before we pivot to Desmond and Christy, and I think, first of all, what would the world be without Black women? Sincerely, what would the world be without us? Because when you're at the bottom of the food chain, as Malcolm X famously pointed out, that nobody in this world gets disrespected more than Black women, right? When there's a system, a global system, a caste system, if you will, that has said that Black women are at the bottom of the food chain, and yet we still continue to pour into those who are allegedly above us. And we still continue to educate and feed those that love us and even those that don't love us. There is a generosity, a grace, an abundance, and a resilience that lives in Black womanhood, which is the reason why y'all could never make me hate this shit. It's not lost on me that even though Ace is showing his ass and has dishonored a Black woman, it is the Black women who are sitting down to still humanize him while calling him out in the way that we do and are known for. Yeah? I often think the world doesn't deserve us, but y'all need to be more grateful than you have us. We're going to end with this sister giving her opinion on this. I think it's also very brilliant.
He thought, right, when he left the villa, he was very upset by several things. First of all, he was very upset that he got this like villain edit, right? He got this villain edit. He was known as this ringleader, essentially a bully, somebody manipulative who was, playing chess, not checkers with everybody's relationships and trying to orchestrate all these things. He was upset by that. And then he was completely discombobulated by the whole Nicolandria of it all, right? And how much people wanted to talk about Nicolandria. And it was Nicolandria this and Nicolandria that. And everything was about Nicolandria. He even said that in his speedy interview. He was so thrown off his game, discombobulated. And so he went away. He did refuse to do press. Everybody else was doing press, clearing.
Him not doing press and being mysterious. I think a lot of us thought he was being mysterious. I thought he was throwing a tantrum. I'm not even going to hold you. I thought he was throwing a little baby tantrum.
Stuff up. Olandria was working really hard to clear up the delusional girl narrative that they had put on her, the delusional girl edit and the mean girl edit that they had put on her. Everybody was doing press. Ace did not do press. Him and Shelley left the villa when they were eliminated from the show. And what did he do? They went on a social media break, which is well warranted and understandable due to all the racist hate that mostly Shelley was getting. And then he just kind of went underground for a while, right? We didn't see him. And then when the show was over, he was not a part of the press tour, right?
Nope.
But we know he was upset by these things. But this is what he didn't understand, okay? He was angry with Nick because he wanted Nick to take up for him and clear his name, essentially. And he was pissed off.
He wanted Nick to take up for him even more because Nick was already glazing the fuck out of him in his interviews. That's the part that always annoys me. Nick was already glazing you. You wanted him to be at your beck and call and be obsessed with you, and he actually chose to prioritize his girlfriend instead, which was appropriate. Which was appropriate. If you are a white man loving on a black woman, watching her being completely shut down and diminished and dehumanized with anti-blackness, it is your job to protect her, not your homie with the big ego who wants you to glaze him even more. Ace's expectations of Nick were so red pill that I'm happy Nick didn't listen to him.
Off that Nick was more concerned about Nicolandria and was, centering Nicolandria and the racist hate that Nicolandria was getting and was just more focused on his relationship. He was not really thinking about Ace. I'm not going to, hash out everything else that he was upset by, but this is what he miscalculated. He's thinking, oh my gosh, like everyone's looking at me so badly. Like I'm going to have to figure this out. Like I need to rewrite my narrative. That's why I'm going to do the Speedy podcast. He miscalculated. His rebrand had already started. His redemption arc had already started. And
I love that she mentioned this because if you guys remember, I got on here and debated with Dexter, who's a Sagittarius. You know, Sagittarius and Aries and Leo, the fire signs love to clock each other. I watch my fire sign friends clock each other all the time, right? When I watch Mel and Bridget go at it or Kendall and whatever, like I love watching all of my fire signs because they clock each other's bullshit. If I'm dating a fire sign, I hit up my Aries friends and be like, yo, tell me what's tea. And when Dexter was like, no, Ace is full of shit, Blue. I know you're trying to give him grace. Ace is full of shit. The way that I almost got Dexter to give Ace a chance, because it's the way I gave Ace a chance, was when Ace was the number one cheerleader for Nicolandria towards the end when him and Nick were the only ones left there because Taylor had left. And he was like, yo, I can tell you like her. Him being supportive of Nicolandria was Ace's redemption arc, but Ace was so busy playing victim, he didn't clock it. So many of us ate crow prematurely, and we're willing to give him a chance simply because he showed that he could support Nick and Nicolandria figuring out their relationship. I came on here and showed clips of it as much as I could without being demonetized, right? And so the fact that he, just being a good and decent human and supporting his friends who always supported him, made us start to give him a chance. Had he properly clocked that it would have been obvious to him that him being a hater and turning on those same friends would be his demise. The math is obvious. If you have even a smidgen, not even a lot, if you have even a smidgen of emotional intelligence, the math was obvious. Ace's popularity, in my opinion, was at its height during the Disney World trip where he was showed holding the light and clapping and being happy for them. The fact that he could decenter himself as a Leo man under the age of 30, because that doesn't happen often enough in public. Yeah. The fact that he could decenter himself and hold space for people who had supported him and preemptively earned his loyalty. That simple act of decency made us skyrocket. And that's when we started saying, oh my God, the core four. Nicolandria momentarily switched to the core four when Ace was acting like a supportive friend. Had he simply done nothing but that, we'd be having a very different conversation right now.
Started in the villa, and it started because of Nicolandria, okay? Yep. It started because he started supporting Nicolandria according to what we saw while we were watching the show. So we even started to say, oh my gosh, is Ace a Nicolandrian? Oh my gosh. And that's what started his redemption arc. But he didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was so clouded by jealousy, so eaten up with just anger at how the chips fell, right? So angry that he's not the main character, that Shelley wasn't what he thought it would be, that he could not see, okay? That he had already been set up for a redemption arc. And all he needed to do was just continue to support his friends. And he would have been eating too.
Hey guys, every time a person causes harm to others, you can't keep using their age as an excuse. So how old are you where it's no longer okay to cause harm? I get so annoyed when y'all do this. Ace has gotten nothing but grace, and he keeps sabotaging it. He's got nothing but grace, and he keeps sabotaging it. At what point do you stop using someone's age as a reason for them not to grow the fuck up? Because I know 50-year-olds who are like this because y'all started saying this when they were 20. Y'all keep using grace as a replacement for enabling. We're at the point now, when you cause harm to a Black woman, you don't need grace, you need accountability because you're causing harm. So respectfully, enough.
Let me show you exactly. First, let me show you the precursor to his redemption arc starting. Let me show you.
It's the only way he can get a kiss out of me because he know he can't get it from me outside of.
For those who don't remember the scene, it's when they were doing the hose challenge and Olandria was kissing somebody else and Nick was salty and was hosing them down. Like, how dare you kiss on my girl? When you watch the show back knowing how much Nick liked her from day one, a lot of the stuff he did was like obvious. Like, yo, you were salty that your girl was kissing somebody else because she wasn't your girl because she was talking to your boy. Poor Nick. I know we talk about how Nick owes Sierra an apology for simply playing the game by the rules. Y'all gonna always lose me on that. But I really, really do think it's hilarious how, in retrospect, it was so obvious how much he liked her. So obvious. Unless you're anti-Black and thinks it's impossible for an attractive white man who has options to like a dark-skinned Black woman. It's only not obvious if you're operating from that premise.
Challenge, so smart on your end, Zach.
And to be fair, Olandria was mouth fucking everybody. That girl must have some good kisses because even people who were in relationships were like, I would like to kiss Olandria one good time. So sis, kudos to you for having a magic mouth. I mean that respectfully. Respectfully.
Yeah, Zach. That was
This face right here. This is the face that he made once he saw how Nick was reacting to Olandria kissing Zach, okay? And how Nick was blasting them with that water gun and he was starting to put the pieces together. He had been peeping and we had noticed him peeping certain interactions, but this is the precursor to his redemption arc really starting, and then it went into full force in this next scene.
Sierra left and Nick is single.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
The fact that Ace, oh God, baby, Ace, had you stayed in this bag, this would have been very different.
You know what I see happening?
What do you see?
I see, and it's just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
I know they kind of had like a thing, so maybe they could rekindle.
You see how the Speedy interview was nothing but gaslighting, because for you to do this, but then go on Speedy when you see that they're popular and pretend like none of it ever happened, and then go on your Dateline crime documentary about your ego. The only thing that died in that documentary was your ego. But to do your little own Dateline documentary style video last week and say, well, the producers made me say that. You keep changing the story based on what you think it's going to get us to finally be on your side. The truth is, you just being a good friend would have put us on your side, Ace. You just had to be a good friend.
That's not like impossible.
Don't count it out.
We shall see, though, I guess.
I have thoughts about Shelley in this scene that I'm not going to share because this is about Ace.
So Ace had no idea that his redemption arc had already begun on the show, right? Yeah. Because his reputation thus far in the season hadn't been good, right? He was involved with Jeremiah going home, all of his machinations that he had going on, you know, plotting, removing people that had strong connections, how long it took for him to get with Shelley, how he treated Amaya, that Rats edit that was made of him, Nick, and Taylor that went viral during the season. There were so many things and that had turned the audience off of Ace that he was not aware of, obviously, because he was on the show. And he didn't realize that his redemption arc actually ended up starting towards the end of the show once he started to show his support of Nicolandria. Yep. Right? Once he started to give Nick advice, you know, there were so many moments that were so endearing and that started to really endear Ace to the audience. You know, that conversation that happened during the baby challenge where he was supporting Nick through, you know, being backed up on the night before and having a fiery chest. And then the further conversations attracting good things, all the brand deals they've been able to get separately and, you know, when they were doing brand deals together. And I'm talking about Nick and Nicolandria here. So it's the core 4 brand.
There's a point that I want to get to, so I'm going to fast forward for time. I think the point happens right around.
He started to show his support of Nicolandria. right? Once he started to give Nick advice, there were so many moments that were so endearing and that started to really endear Ace to the audience.
Yes.
That conversation that happened during the baby challenge where he was supporting Nick through, being backed up on the night before and having a fiery chest. And then the further conversations of Nick saying, you know what, like she's flirting with me, like I feel like a teenager again. Ace saying this is what love is supposed to feel like, really supporting Nick through all of these conversations. Little did we know that was production urging Ace to have these conversations with Nick and that it was actually irritating Ace that he had to keep talking about Nicolandria. We had to find that out during the Speedy podcast.
It was irritating you that you had to be a supportive friend. Ace, why did you admit that, baby? I'm going to let her cook because I don't want to fast forward past. There's a singular point that she's about to make. And this point, guys, for those of you who have to run off somewhere, the point that she's about to make after she lands this plane is probably the entire intention of this entire segment on Ace. And those of you who could learn from Ace, even if you think that the disdain you have for him doesn't reflect some shit in yourself. Because, again, he's not a demon. He's just emotionally immature. And when you demonize people, you lose the ability to see the humanity in them, even if that humanity is reflecting something back at you.
But while we were watching the show, Ace was really endearing himself to the audience as being a supportive friend.
I think the point makes sense. She's explaining for 10 full minutes. If you still don't get it, my love, then you just agree to disagree. I think the point makes a lot of sense. A
lover of love and romance and someone that was giving excellent advice to his friend and really supporting their connection, right? He was being seen as a fellow Nicolandrian, and that's what was really redeeming him from all of the bad or perceived bad behavior that had happened in the beginning of the season that involved him and that he was basically spearheading. He had no clue, and he did not realize that this redemption arc even continued and this rebrand even continued once they left the villa. Do y'all remember that Disneyland date where Nick and Nicolandria shared a kiss and Ace was jumping up and down in the background? If you don't remember, I have the clip.
This moment, Ace, if you're watching this, because I know that you watch everything, baby, this was the height of your popularity, and it hurts me that you didn't know it. You could have kept the scam up. You could have been the hating ass friend in the shadows who was pretending to be supportive, and you'd be even more of a millionaire than you claim to be now. Had you simply just stuck with this energy, Ace, you wouldn't need to keep making garage documentaries about yourself.
Not only was he visibly excited, jumping up and down, looked so happy for them, so excited for them, he was even holding the light to light up the scene for the cameras to accurately capture the kiss. Did we not all just melt when we saw that clip? Did we not all just go, oh my goodness, look at Ace. He loves Nicolandria. He's so supportive of them, right? Exactly. Continued redemption arc, continued rebrand. And then we had these pics drop. It's really just this one picture, but we had this one picture drop and we see the core four. Do you remember that? We had branded them the core four. They already had a brand waiting. I made a whole video about how Ace ruined the core four brand, completely demolished it. They had been set up to make millions, and that is not an exaggeration at all. And we saw this photo and we were like, oh my goodness, the girls and their guys. And I think there was even like a video on Snapchat.
Watching Black women get loved properly will always be highly marketable to a Black audience that actually likes Black women. It's that simple. An audience that is thirsty to watch Black women loved properly will always clap for this. And all that, how do I say it? Production that you do, Ace, because you like to produce things. You missed the obvious. You were being so clever, Ace. Sorry, Alan. I'm going to talk to you as the person, not the brand. Alan, had you simply paid attention to the obvious, it would have occurred to you that what you were expecting to happen with you and Shelley alone could have been tenfold had you simply scooted over and made room for others.
Of the boys being like something about them with their ladies or something. It was really cute. I can't recall and I don't want to try to find it. Mm-hmm. But at this point, the whole of Nicolandria fandom and Shelley were like united as one. Yep. We loved Ace. We loved Shelley. We loved Ola. We loved Nick. Like it was all lovey vibes. It was great. We were excited. We couldn't wait to watch them take over the world, right? And what Ace didn't realize, and I hope what he's learning now, I mean, actually, I don't think so after what I heard about that interview, whatever it was that he dropped. But what I hope he does learn, because he's only 23 years old, is there are certain people that come into your life that literally bring you good luck.
This is the point. Let's talk about this. This is the point.
Okay. You could literally be set on a path of destruction. Okay. A path of humiliation, a path of all these horrible things happening. And because that person is in your life, they have a way of turning shit into sugar, for lack of better words. They have a way of turning a situation around and actually making the path that you're on completely flip and be for your good and be for your elevation.
I have been that person in a lot of people's lives, and I've been blessed to have people who've moved like that in my life. I've experienced it on both ends. There are people in this world that God put in your path in order to be a blessing. In fact, I once interviewed Ricky Smiley, and he said, Blue, it's a blessing to be a blessing. And that always stuck with me. It's a blessing to be. There are moments where I've looked at people who have no idea what I have access to, what my resources are, who I know. They know nothing, right? And they're talking to me, and the whole time I'm thinking is, I'm about to be a blessing to this person, and they have no idea. I love it. It's so fun. That's why hated behavior will always confuse me. It's so fun when you realize that God is using you to be a blessing for somebody. I have blessed the fuck out of people who had no idea that I was anybody. And I've also had it done for me. And I don't think Ace realized that the detour in his game plan was because God had an even bigger plan.
These type of people, now, I know everyone doesn't believe in like astrology and like birth charts and like energy and all these things, but there are certain people that are like multiplier energies. They multiply and they bring in good things. They attract abundance, okay, luck, whatever you want to call it. Everybody knows that one person that just seems like a lucky person. Like good things always just seem to happen for them. Things always seem to fall into place.
Me and Bridget talk about this all the time. People are like, oh my God, y'all so lucky. We're not lucky. We're covered. We're favored. It's not luck.
For them. And when you're around them, good things by proxy happen to you. And all of a sudden their luck is rubbing off on you and all good things are happening to you now. And you're getting the overflow of their favor and just how things always go well for them. I feel that way about Nicolandria and Nick for sure, right? These are people that.
And by the way, Nick confirmed his father still looks over all of Nicolandria's documents to make sure that she's getting top dollar for her interactions with anybody. Nick's family is still showing up as a blessing for Nicolandria.
Are very genuine, good-hearted people, but they're also very supportive of their friends, and they have a way of bringing good luck to people. Look at Quan. You can't tell me that Nick has not elevated Quan's business in a way that is just insane in such a short amount of time. Like Greek Fest now is going to become a household name when it comes to college parties and those type of events, if they're not already, right, in that sector, in that world. We look at, how much, Nick has elevated Henry's business because Henry, his friend, has like a production business.
All of Nick's besties are up. He's not the only millionaire in the friend group. What did I say earlier? I said earlier, my dream is never to be rich. It was to be operating from such a surplus that everybody in my ecosystem gets to be favored. I never wanted to be here alone, right? As long as they're people that I could trust and that were grateful. Because an ungrateful person will be blessed by you and still fucking fumble you. I wasn't talking about that. When you are around grateful people and you bless them, it multiplies. They don't ever have to even say thank you. You can tell by how they move that they're grateful. As a multiplier who's been blessed by, Jason Lee's a multiplier. Whether you like him or loathe him, Jason Lee is objectively a multiplier. Carlos King is a multiplier. I'm a multiplier. We keep pouring into others while others pour into us. It is an ongoing cycle of abundance. And all it takes is one stingy fucking person, shout out to Melissa Ford, and the whole show comes to a stop. Ace, you spent, I'm going to actually end this here. Ace, you spent all that time saying that you and Shelley would pray every morning, and you really, really leaned in on your faith. What y'all didn't realize is your prayers came true and you fumbled it. Alan, you did all that praying and your prayers came true and you fumbled it because you decided to be the architect instead of letting God be the architect. And that's the lesson in this.